Is it we're going to finish the survey and have a report on what people want? Is it that we're going to know something about the food bank and we're going to do this differently? We're going to get rid of at least one pawn shop, or we're going to get one alternative for people to get some low-interest loans to tide them over to the end of the month. What are we going to do? And it's those short-term cycles of, here was our baseline, we decided to take this activity, how did that turn out? That's evaluative thinking, and the criteria emerged. We hold ourselves accountable. How did we do that? Celebrate what went on. What did we learn from doing that? But I think a part of this is some developmental evaluation is not having any goals. It's not having these amorphous 3 years predetermined airy-fairy pull numbers out of the air goals. Getting rid of a crack house in 3 months is a very clear, specific, and measurable goal. And the community knows whether or not that's happened. Getting rid of a prostitution place, getting a street light put in a dangerous corner, getting a crosswalk managed, whatever it is, people do something, getting a park put in, getting some trees planted. Those are concrete, achievable, measurable things. One of the inner city communities, a group of African American grandmothers in a community development process were worried about the increase in teenage pregnancy, and managed to get the statistics on the teenage pregnancy and the problem of low birth weight babies. None of these were literate, well-educated people with even high school degrees, but they could understand the statistics on low birth weight babies. They understood how smoking and drinking was related to that. And so they set up a system with the local prenatal folks that they, within a 4-block area of their inner city, would, as a group, and use their own network as grandmothers to find out as soon as a young woman was pregnant. And as grandmothers, they decided that baby was going to be a healthy baby. They were going to track the prenatal visits, they were going to work with that young woman, and it was going to become their baby. And they organized themselves and started keeping track of, just on, with little chits, who was responsible, how they were turning it up, the names of the girls that they were keeping track of. And they set up their own little management information. We call it a management information system. We didn't call it that. But they kept it in a recipe box. And they had a name for each girl, and who was keeping track of her and befriending her and figuring out how she was doing, and worrying about what was going on with her. Often they weren't in good relationships with their families, and the girls that fell between the cracks. So they had a little recipe box that they tracked. And then when a baby was born, they created some ritual around welcoming that baby into the community and tracking the baby. So they had some real concrete outcomes. It wasn't a statistic about low birth weight babies dropped by half a kilo over 3 years. It was Becky and Sharon and Susan had healthy babies. And we were a part of that process.
So that sort of, having this sort of short-term and really tangible goal, that helps get energy and feedback. So there's progress, momentum, so that accountability sort of built up in that sense. But just as you're talking, I'm reflecting about some of the projects we're involved with, where we sort of, our goals so big and lofty.
And you ultimately want to make those connections. I mean, and a few of you in leadership positions certainly want to keep your eye on those longer-term prizes, but that isn't what mobilizes communities. What mobilizes community, I mean, our whole world is short attention span these days. So 3 months turns out to be a pretty long-term goal for folks. And of course, one of the things we know is interesting in working with the Wellspring, WellLink. Sorry, there's a Wellspring group in Minnesota, WellLink. But many of the anti-poverty programs and mental health programs and programs with young people have actually found that one of the factors that increases resilience and long-term goals is a whole sense of intentionality that you can act on things, a kind of locus of control things. And that comes from rapid turnaround. All the good behavior modification programs are very short-term rewards. And the whole psychology of something like the 12-step program is one day at a time. You evaluate every day. I made it through that day without taking a drink. I made it through a week without taking a drink. I made it through a month without taking a drink. Well, that kind of psychology can really work for a community. What are we going to get done that we can see? We planned something, we delivered it. Maybe it's a festival that people come together around and some problem they're going to solve. Looking for the short-term things that are connecting you toward those longer-term things, but that really get celebrated. And the evaluative thinking is actually built into that. All right, here was our baseline. This is where we started out. We're going to do this. What are we looking for? Get together. Let's see what actually turned out.